coming to the event of this week. I'm not going to take too much of the time anymore. Today's session is all about rebuilding businesses post-pandemic, the 6 pillars of business growth. And as you can see, this session will be taken by Vishal Shah, co-founder and CEO and a business coach at Embark Business Coaching. And I, at this point of time, would like to introduce Vishal. Vishal, may I request you to come online now and we can introduce you. So Vishal, talking about Vishal, he's a creative mind with strong business acumen, makes a lethal combination, which is exactly what is required to drive and inspire the young minds of today. Coach Vishal Shah derives his astute leadership abilities, which is a culmination of his prior corporate and entrepreneurial experience. Having worked with MNCs like Idea Cellular and Tech Mahindra for over 25 years, CEO of an entrepreneurship institute for 4 years, Coach Vishal Shah is the co-founder and CEO of Embark Business Coaching. While his entrepreneurial background came from the family business he grew up with, he has worked his way through the corporate ladder, heading teams and projects with over 600 crore size. Coach Vishal Shah has worked with over 100 plus SME business owners through a decade across 50 plus industries. With Embark Business Coaching, his mission is to enable growth for SME business owners through effective implementation of tools, systems, and processes. He and his team work with business owners and their teams to ensure business goals don't just remain on paper, but are seen as the outcome of action taken. Wonderful. Coach Vishal Shah and his team has contributed to business across the sales, marketing, talent management, and operational verticals, which has led to overall business growth for the entrepreneurs. And with this, I would like to give a wonderful welcome to Vishal. Vishal, welcome. And yes, I will now hand it over to you to take your presentation forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gagan, for that very, very encouraging welcome. Very good evening to all the participants who have taken time out from their busy schedules and joined us here on an evening. And I hope that this discussion is going to be worth your while. All right. So with that, I'm going to be sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Just a quick note for everyone. The session is also live on the Facebook. For some of you who are finding it challenging for joining the session, you can reach out to us on the Facebook also. And we'll be just posting the link of Facebook Live on the chat box. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vishal.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sonal. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes.
All right. So the topic, rebuilding businesses post-pandemic, the 6 pillars of business growth, a very relevant topic considering the impact that the last 24 months have had on business and how we need to look at business going ahead is what is going to be the moot point of discussion today. Before we go ahead, let's just ensure that we make the best of today's webinar. To be very honest, I've seen and attended quite a few webinars, which is why I have realized that there might be some kind of webinar fatigue that would have set in, which is why I would like to share some rules of engagement with the people attending. Kindly give me your undivided attention because there's no way I can do anything if you don't. But to be able to get the best of today's session, I would request you to kindly give me your undivided attention. Please try and correlate all aspects of the discussion to your business. There is no point of, probably as an audience, if you just listen to and just try and absorb what I am saying, that is all fine. But I think the critical thing that would actually help would be if you try and correlate and see whether this is making sense to you for your business. Please make a note of all actionables you can execute. See, whatever we're going to discuss over the next 60 minutes or so, not everything might be as relevant to each one of you. So please pick out whatever is relevant for you and make a note so that you can go ahead and act on it. Of course, please engage with the discussion. You can use the reaction icons and the chat box generously. Yes, because it is in a webinar mode, you will not be able to participate as much, but please ensure that you do respond as and when required. There will be some questions I would be posing. And at that point, I would probably request Gagan and Sonal to unmute the participants. My sincere request is that you would need to answer these questions honestly. And at the outset, let me share with you, I would like to extend an apology before the session, because I'm going to be probably saying some things that you might not like. All right, because when we are talking about growth, it cannot come without change, and change is not something that comes easily. So there might be some questions, some statements that I might need to pass, which may not, which may sound a little harsh to you, which is why I am extending this apology. All right, so let's kick off. As I said, the title of this webinar is about rebuilding businesses post the pandemic. And the pandemic was one of the largest crises that probably our generation, or maybe so many generations, has seen. But this is a very apt quote, and it really applies to our businesses as well. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Yes, so wherever there is a crisis, you have problems that you have never encountered before. But what it also presents are opportunities that we have never got before. So this is one aspect that I would request you to look at the pandemic. All right, so before we begin and dive deep into whatever we are going to discuss, just to understand what COVID and the backdrop and its impact on businesses, my request, if you can kindly tell me, what were your 3 biggest business problems pre-COVID? So before the pandemic hit, as a business owner, what were the 3 biggest problems that you were facing? And I would kindly request you to maybe reply in the chat box, or maybe raise your hand so you can be unmuted. Yes, please do participate, because that is the best way we can have a fruitful discussion. Come on, tell me, what do you think were your 3 biggest problems pre-pandemic? Gagan, Sonal, if you want to pitch in, I'm absolutely okay with that as well. But it is important to set the context, which is why I would request the participants to kindly share what they feel. What were your 3 biggest problems before COVID hit? Was it acquisition of customers, managing finance, lack of business? All right, Sonal. Typically, the problems that were there were no different from what we are facing today. So whether it is increase of sale, facing competition, working capital management, automation, the problems were all there before COVID. So everybody is talking of the new normal that has come about post-COVID. Whereas that is true, but my sincere request, आप सब लोगों से यही गुजारिश है कि सारी चीजों का बिल कोविड के नाम पे मत काटिए. In my discussions with a lot of business owners, मैंने ये देखा है कि बहुत लोग ये कहते हैं कि कोविड की वजह से ये सब हो रहा है. It's not true. We need to be honest to ourselves. हमारे business के majority problems कोविड के पहले भी थे. What COVID has actually done is put a magnifying glass on all those problems. We can no longer afford to escape those problems. We are going to be needing to address those problems. So I think in that sense, if you ask me, COVID has actually been a blessing in disguise, more than more than a problem. Yes, reaching customers, 𝗏𝗏𝘆 says, absolutely, all those problems were there before COVID, but they are, even with COVID, all those problems have now gotten magnified. Please do not blame COVID for the business. Whatever has happened because of COVID is beyond our control. But there are so many things that we could have controlled and still can. All right. Some of the questions that I have been asked over the last, 20 months since the time COVID hit. I have done multiple webinars. I have addressed over 5,000 business owners. These were the questions. How can I prevent my business from getting quarantined post-COVID? Do you think I will have to change the way I have been doing business completely post-COVID? Have the rules of the game totally changed? Yes, questions on, is my current business good enough? People have actually been questioning whether they should even continue their current business. And finally, which is a good business to get into considering these days, considering the time and age that we are living in? These and many more, but these are broadly the kind of questions. My belief or my response to these questions? Yes, a hard-hitting fact. There are no bad businesses, just bad business owners. Just like there is a saying that there are no bad students, just bad teachers. Similarly, in my humble opinion, there are no bad businesses. There are just bad business. Har business mein potential hai, har business acha hota hai. It is up to the business owner what they do with it. I have a question to all business owners. What is the biggest lesson COVID has taught us for our health, which is also applicable for our business? Come on, anybody would like to answer? What do you think COVID has taught us for our health, which is also applicable for our business? This is not such an easy one. Anybody would like to try and answer? All right. See, when we have been faced with this level of pandemic, and when we started getting conscious of our health, we realized that, okay, everyone is running around to find the right medicine, everyone is running around to find the right vaccine. But we realized that despite taking medication, it was not a sure shot cure. Despite getting vaccinated also, there is a risk of contracting the virus. What this pandemic has actually really taught us is, don't try to look for vaccines and cures. Build your immunity. Am I right or wrong? Everybody has been speaking about building your immunity, and that, my friends, is the topic of today's discussion, which is where we are going to talk about building your business immunity. My question to all business owners is, what have you done to build your business immunity or to protect your businesses from aspects like COVID? Tell me honestly, was it just COVID that has kind of, shaken up your business? Before COVID, it was GST. Before GST, it was demonetization. At every point of time, there is a small or a larger thing like the pandemic comes, but our businesses get shaken up. Why are they getting shaken up every time? Why is it that we have not been able to isolate our businesses from these problems? It's because our businesses have not got the kind of immunity they actually should have got. Now, having understood the context of the pandemic and what we need to do, and ensuring that we are honest with ourselves and not blaming everything on the pandemic, we need to accept that we need to change. And when we talk about change, this is an example of the kind of business that exists today, or the winds of change that are blowing. Please look at the companies that you can see on your screen. Uber, world's largest taxi company, owns no vehicles. Facebook, most popular media owner, creates no content. Alibaba, no inventory. Airbnb, world's largest accommodation provider, owns no real estate. Point I'm trying to make, friends, is that the way business was done, and I'm saying this especially for the textile industry. I am a third generation textile entrepreneur, and I understand that there is a traditional way in which we have been used to doing our business. हमने जैसे बिजनेस पिछले 25 सालों में या 30 सालों में या 50 सालों में किया है, अगले 10, 20 और 25 सालों में उस तरह से बिजनेस नहीं किया जाएगा. And this is an example of companies that have come up in the last 10 to 20 years, not more than 2-decade-old companies that have completely revamped the way business is happening. This is an indicator of the kind of change that is coming about. Now, the difficult question: are you as a business owner embracing this change, or are you resisting this change? And as I said, we're going to need to be completely honest. क्योंकि मैंने इतने बिजनेस ओनर से बात किया है, हाँ जी चेंज करना है, बिल्कुल जरूरी है, आप जो कह रहे हो बिल्कुल सही है, लेकिन जब करने का वक्त आता है, that time they completely go and fall back into their quote unquote comfort zone, कि जिस तरह से काम किया है उसी तरह से काम करना है. And one of the primary reasons that business owners give is, मेरे पास वक्त ही नहीं है ये सब करने को. I don't have time is the biggest lie that you are telling yourself as a business owner. I told you I would be sharing some hard-hitting facts. This is not coming out of some book that I'm sharing. This is my decade-old business coaching experience with more than 150 business owners, which I am sharing with you. The first step, if we are talking about change and change in business and growth is going to be change in your mindset. And yes, I'm sure you've heard this before. You've heard a lot of people talk about it. And I've seen so many discussions happen in these last 24 months about, we need to change the way we think. Because digital, जो लोग digitized नहीं थे, जिन्होंने technology को embrace नहीं किया था, they all have suffered badly. And that's why they have now started to understand that they need to change the way they look at their business. So moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset is the first change that one needs to make. Question is, are you ready for that change? Trust me, the answer is, as of today, you don't seem to be. You are resisting this change. And I'm saying that this statement with a little bit of authority because it is supported by a survey which was conducted by a very reputed firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers, on Indian family businesses and SMEs. 97% of Indian family businesses do not have a succession plan. They don't know who is going to succeed the leadership. Typically, it follows generation by generation, but that is not a succession plan. Very important point. Most Indian businesses do not feel their businesses will be disrupted by the digital blitzkrieg. It is really shocking that there are still businesses who are still living in a cocoon. And this is not something I am saying. This is something that has been found in the survey. They're still living in the cocoon. They feel कि मेरे business में ना मेरा तो पुराने type का business है या इस तरह का business है, digital का उस पे उतना impact नहीं होने वाला है जितना बाकी ऊपर हो रहा है. Lack of efforts to professionalize operations. Most Indian businesses are still people driven and not process driven. So अभी भी businesses उसी तरह से चलते हैं जैसे probably 10-20 साल पहले चल रहे थे, जहां पे आपके पुराने एक या दो बहुत ही की लोग हैं जिन पे ये business चल रहा है. कल अगर वो नहीं होंगे या आप अपने business में नहीं होंगे तो शायद आपका business उस तरह से नहीं चलेगा. The generation next of the family is losing interest in the business and are wanting to do something different. This is a very sad fact. India is an entrepreneurial nation. And if our next generations are not going to find it attractive or interesting enough to join our businesses, especially traditional businesses like textile, that is going to prove to be, because the next generation, your next generation are assets. They need to be treated like assets. And if they are not interested in joining the family business, that is a real big problem at hand. Finally, resistance of business owners to seek external help. Please understand, in today's day and age, it is absolutely okay to admit that I am not completely equipped to manage this quantum of change. Technology is moving at a rapid pace. Digitization is hitting us. We don't know what to do. It is absolutely fine to look out for expert help. Please accept, but unfortunately, Indian businesses का ये एक मानना है कि हमारा धंधा हमें कोई नहीं सिखा सकता, या हमने हमारे धंधे की चीजें किसी और को बतानी नहीं चाहिए. See, please understand, I understand the Indian business owner psyche. मैंने 20-25 साल से I have been interacting with business owners. So I am telling you this, which is clearly out of experience and has gotten endorsed by a very reputed firm who has conducted this. Point I'm trying to make is, until and unless we don't accept this and stop resisting this change, we cannot expect that mindset shift to happen. Growth mindset में आज का session अगर आप attend कर रहे हैं ये figure out करने को कि मुझे grow कैसे करना है, I have not even started discussing that. Why? Because without bringing about a change in the way you think and the way you look at your business, it is going to be absolutely futile. Whoever comes and speaks to you, you will listen from one ear, like it for a moment of time, and then go back to doing your old ways because your mindset has not moved. My sincere request, if you want to take back one thing only from this session today, take this back. Please accept that so far you have been resisting change in one way or the other. It's about time that you understand and embrace the change and remove the roadblocks from your growth. Now, let's come to the discussion around, okay, once you have changed the mindset, now you are ready to grow. How can you actually grow? So let's try and look at which are those building blocks. All right, so we're going to cover the 6 broad building blocks. And in each of these building blocks, I'm going to share some aspects that are not theoretical in nature, but these are things that we at Embark Business Coaching have worked with our clients, executed it, and seen tremendous success. None of what we are sharing with you is theoretical, but something that we have actually executed. Out of all the building blocks, I'm going to be spending maximum time on strategy, because I'm sure you would have attended a lot of sessions which would be specifically on sales, lead generation, marketing, finance, HR. But before all of that, as a business owner, strategy is something you cannot outsource. You cannot delegate. That is a primary role that you as a business owner need to fulfill. My question is, you need to answer that for. You don't need to give me the answer. The answer is for yourself to judge whether you have been doing your job as a business owner by addressing this building block. When was the last time you asked yourself these questions? And if you want to know whether you have been doing your job, please look at these questions and ask yourself, when is it that I answered these questions for myself? Why am I in this business? Yeah, it might seem like a very innocuous question or very silly question, but it's a very important question. And trust me, the pandemic brought a lot of people to ask themselves this question, and a lot of people took different decisions after answering this question honestly. A very important question: what business am I in? This is a question that we use to help build strategy. A lot of people associate what they do with the business they are in. So let's take the example of textile. So if I'm running a textile showroom, people, when you ask them, boss, what business are you in? आप क्या काम करते हैं? हमारे कपड़े की दुकान है, हम कपड़ा बेचते हैं. No, you are not in the business of selling fabric. You are in the business of fashion. You are in the business of enabling fashion. The way you look at your business, the canvas of your business will change. How have I been doing my business? This is very closely related to the processes, the systems, the technology. Have you changed? Have you upgraded yourself with time? Are you still using an old Nokia phone? No, you have upgraded yourself to the smartphone. Is your business still running in quote unquote Nokia mode? Please ask yourself this question. How have I been doing my business? Is that the right way to do business? Second aspect of strategy, please identify the opportunities and threats, short term as well as long term. And while doing that, remember this point. We always overestimate what will happen in the short term. कि अरे मेरा तो बिजनेस गिर जाएगा अगर मैंने ये डिस्काउंट दे दिया या मैंने ये मार्केटिंग में इतना पैसा खर्चा कर दिया, मुझे तो 3 महीने से काम कर रहा हूँ, मार्केटिंग में पैसा डाला लेकिन कोई रिटर्न नहीं मिल रहा. You always overestimate कि हमको शॉर्ट टर्म में क्या मिलना चाहिए, and always underestimate what will happen in the long term. हम हमेशा सोचते हैं कि अरे इसको 12 महीने डालेंगे तो हमको क्या मिलेगा पता नहीं. You always underestimate. स्टॉक मार्केट में कहते हैं ना, you have to look at it long term, stay invested in the long term. Why? Because over a period of time only can you get results. Same thing is applicable for all businesses. Please assess your opportunities and threats from the short and long term perspective and keep this point in mind. Again, a very, very hard hitting and a difficult to digest fact for a lot of businesses. Discard the dead wood. Please don't remain married to your business if it isn't working. You will be surprised to know during these pandemic months, the amount of business owners we have interacted with, and I've actually told them that if you want to continue doing the business in its current avatar, it's better you shut it down. Either you radically need to change 360-degree or you must shut it down because it's clearly not working for you. Don't remain married to your business if it isn't working. You need to take tough decisions in case the business is not working. It may not necessarily mean shutting the entire business. It may mean shutting specific verticals which are leading. Maybe specific product categories that are not doing well. क्या होता है, हमारा एक लगाव हो जाता है उस वर्टिकल के साथ, उस स्टोर के साथ, उस फैक्ट्री के साथ, उस कस्टमर के साथ. But if it is not giving you a return on investment, please understand, business owner का काम आसान नहीं होता. कई बार अपने को बहुत tough decisions लेने पड़ते. You have to bite the bullet. Be ready to do that. Otherwise, eventually over a long term, you will continue to suffer. Best time for expansion. Yes, you might be a little taken aback that abhi post pandemic log survival ki baat kar rahe hain, aap expansion ki baat kar rahe ho. Yes, it is honestly the best time for expansion because a lot of business owners, which I'm sure are listening to this session today, do not really have a survival issue. They have got set customers, they have got their suppliers, they have got their teams in place, but still they are being cautious. वो एक कहते हैं ना कि मार्केट का सेंटिमेंट खराब हो गया, तो लोग ग्रोथ की बात ही नहीं कर रहे, सब सर्वाइवल की बात कर रहे हैं. No, this is actually the best time for expansion. Of course, there's a disclaimer. You need to look at your business model and we need to discuss before you can conclude that you should go ahead. But by and large, if you have the muscle, if you have the power to actually expand, this is the time, because you can actually overpower the competition right now. You can eliminate the competition right now. You can become a market leader right now. Maximum, of course, you may feel that this is not a relevant example and those two companies are really big, but the two companies that have expanded radically are Google and Reliance. During these last 24 months, the kind of acquisitions that have happened, that have been done by these two companies, the way their turnovers have grown is remarkable, and it requires vision to do that, right? And that's what I would request each one of you to do. Assess your own business, and if you are in a strong state, if you are in a decent position, please put your foot on the accelerator. This is an excellent time for you to think expansion and not survival. Again, it's a mindset. If you think survival, you're playing a defensive game. You're playing a test match like Rahul Dravid or 𝗍𝗫𝗄𝗎. You're not playing like a Sachin Tendulkar or a Virender Sehwag, right? Not everybody can do that. But question is, do you have that capability with your business? If yes, go for the kill. Look for diversification opportunities. Another tough lesson that has been taught to us by COVID. Please do not put all your eggs in one basket. There are a lot of customers, business owners I know who have been dealing with only 4 or 5 customers, or only one customer, or only one market, or only one product, and only one store. जब ऐसा कोई सिचुएशन आता है और आपकी एक दुकान हो और वो बंद हो जाती है, आपके 4 कस्टमर हो और वो अगर आपको बिजनेस देना बंद कर देते, you are going to be dead. Don't do that. Please ensure you diversify your risks. You have different sources of revenue. You have different pools of income. And this I am saying not only because your business is not doing well. In fact, it is more important to do. If your business is doing well, still look for opportunities that you are equipped to take advantage of. So, आज आप एक strong position में हो, that is the best time to diversify into other areas which are like-minded. Of course, that's a different discussion. Where should you diversify? But start thinking diversification. Then today or tomorrow, you will be able to take advantage and be able to diversify your business. Finally, don't shy away from seeking professional help. मुझे मेरा धंधा कोई नहीं सिखा सकता. This attitude will spell doomsday for you and your business. Please understand there are people who can probably support you in whichever way you would need. Please seek out for people who can help you and try and make use of other people's knowledge to further your business and your interest. So that was the first building block, very important in my opinion, which is strategy, because without strategy is what gives your business direction. If we are going to talk growth, we cannot talk growth without direction. Which direction do you want to grow? These pointers that I have shared with you today should assist you to identify your direction. Next, our favorite, which is sales. How do we increase our sales? Sales is the lifeblood of any business. Without blood, your body cannot survive. Without sales, your business cannot survive. Questions for you. How do you acquire your customers today? This is again a question for you to answer. Typically, most business owners, especially after 20-30 years of business, have a set big customer base. And you know, the acquisition of customers typically happens only through word of mouth and references. Is that how you acquire your customers today? If yes, you may want to listen to what I have to say afterwards. And then, have you set a sales target for the year, quarter, or month? What I'm trying to ask you is, do you and your teams work on a target-oriented manner? Or are your targets actually driven by customers? कि कस्टमर को जिस दिन डिमांड होगा वो हमको कॉल करेगा, हमको ऑर्डर देगा, हमारा टारगेट उस, हम कोई टारगेट सेट नहीं करते. Have you assessed what your company is capable of doing, and then do you plan that I will try and achieve this target for my company, and then done specific actions to achieve those targets? Have you gotten yourself attuned to working in a target oriented manner? is my simple question. Again, answer is for you to introspect and take specific actions on. My 2 bits on the sales bit. First, very important. Please, don't misunderstand me. Existing customers are probably the most important that you need to focus on. So you must focus on your existing customers, something that we call farming. Remember, acquiring a new customer is 10 times more difficult, especially in these times. All right. You need to focus on your existing customer. But what is focus on existing customer? मैं आपको पूछूंगा क्या आप अपने existing customer पे focus करते हैं? हाँ सर, हम तो focus करते हैं. When I say focus, what we use at Embark for our clients when we talk focus is what we call a triple R approach. Triple R stands for, first R is retention. So अगर एक customer से सालाना 1 लाख रुपए का revenue आपको मिल रहा है, क्या अगले साल में मुझे कोई भी हालत में उसका वो 1 लाख रुपए का रेवेन्यू रिटेन करना है? फर्स्ट गोल ऑफ फार्मिंग. सेकंड गोल ऑफ फार्मिंग और द सेकंड आर इज रेवेन्यू एनहेंसमेंट. अगर एक कस्टमर से मुझे 1 लाख का रेवेन्यू मिल रहा है, मैं उसको 1,25,000 कैसे कर सकता हूं? तो पहले तो 1 लाख का रिटेंशन करना है, बाद में 25,000 का एडिशनल रेवेन्यू. तो 25,000 का जनरेट करने के लिए which product do I need to sell? What service do I need to offer? What is my customer's requirement? You need to understand your customer. You need to engage with your customer, and so that you are able to then, you खाली टारगेट लेने से 1 का 1,25 नहीं हो जाता है. उसके लिए कस्टमर को आपको समझना पड़ेगा, उसके साथ एंगेज करना पड़ेगा. That's the second R. And the third R, which is the most underrated R and the most powerful R, is reference generation and driving revenues through reference generation. मैं रिएक्टिव रेफरेंस की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, जहां पे कस्टमर आपको कॉल करके बताता है भाई ये मेरा दोस्त है, उसको भी ये आपका प्रोडक्ट चाहिए, आप उसको दे दीजिए. दैट इज रिएक्टिव. हैव यू प्रोएक्टिवली सॉट रेफरेंसेस? क्या आप अपने, अगर आपके पास 100 कस्टमर का डेटा है, क्या आप हर एक कस्टमर के पास जाके क्या आपने बोला कि सर आपको हमारा प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस अच्छा लगता है? हाँ जी बिल्कुल अच्छा लगता है, तो प्लीज मुझे 3 नाम दीजिए. मुझे 3 नाम दीजिए जिनके साथ मैं ये बिजनेस कर सकता हूं आप जैसे. Imagine if you have 100 customers and they each give you 3 names, you'll have a database of 300 prospective new customers. And history has proven that conversion percentages from references are always far higher. तो 300 में से अगर आपके 50% कस्टमर भी कन्वर्ट होते हैं या 30% कस्टमर भी कन्वर्ट होते हैं, तो आपके 100 नए कस्टमर बढ़ जाएंगे. आपका बिजनेस बिना किसी इन्वेस्टमेंट के डबल हो जाएगा. 100 के कस्टमर सीधे 200. That is the power of farming. Second, whereas farming is very important, please don't lose sight of new customer acquisition, which we in our terminology call hunting. And as the name suggests, hunting is new customers. Only what you can hunt today will you be able to farm tomorrow. Please understand, अगर आपका बिजनेस 20-30 साल पुराना है और आज आपके पास अगर 100-150 कस्टमर हैं, वो इसलिए है क्योंकि कभी आपने उनको अक्वायर किया था, कभी किसी ने जाके मार्केट में उनको सेल किया था, तब जाके आज वो आपके एग्जिस्टिंग कस्टमर है. लेकिन क्या हुआ, ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम आपके कस्टमर वर्ड ऑफ माउथ से खुद इतने बढ़ गए कि आप भूल गए कैसे नए कस्टमर लाना है. या आपने कभी, ऐसे बहुत से बड़े बड़े बिजनेसेस है जिनके साथ हमने काम किया है, जिनके पास सेल्स टीम ही नहीं होती है. बोलते सर हमको सेल्स टीम की जरूरत ही थी, सेल्स और मार्केटिंग हम करते ही नहीं है, हमारे को जरूरत ही नहीं, और बहुत प्राइड से बोलते हैं. तो मेरा हाथ जोड़ के विनंती है आप लोगों से, प्लीज मत कीजिए ये, क्योंकि आज है ना, नया कस्टमर जोड़ना ग्रोथ के लिए जरूरी नहीं है, सर्वाइवल के लिए जरूरी है. क्योंकि प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, अगर आपका इनफ्लो बंद हो जाएगा तो ये जो 100 कस्टमर है, किसी दिन उसमें से 20-30 कस्टमर किसी वजह से हट गए, आपका रेवेन्यू क्रैश हो जाएगा. यू नीड टू हैव अ बैलेंस बिटवीन हंटिंग एंड बिटवीन फार्मिंग. और हंटिंग का भी साइंटिफिक अप्रोच है. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, बहुत लोग समझते हैं कि सेल्स एक आर्ट है, कि सेल्स एक कला है और एक बहुत ही टैलेंटेड सेल्समैन होना चाहिए, या एक बहुत ही जिसका कम्युनिकेशन स्किल अच्छा हो वो ही अच्छा सेल्स कर सकता है. बिल्कुल गलत. मैंने अपनी जिंदगी में जो सबसे अच्छे सेल्स पीपल देखे हैं, दैट दे हैव परस्यूड सेल्स नॉट एज एन आर्ट बट एज अ साइंस. सेल्स इज एक्चुअली अ मेथोडिकल डिसिप्लिन. इट इज अ साइंस. So please understand, one, that you need to look at sales as a process and as a science, and ensure that it is followed as a discipline. जब तक आप ये नहीं करते तब तक आपका वो पाइपलाइन नहीं बिल्ड होगा। आज अगर मैं आप में से सब लोगों को पूछूं कि मुझे बताइए, अभी हम अगर मैं आपको पूछूं अभी 2021 एंड होने वाला है, तो 2022 का मुझे फोरकास्ट बताइए, क्या आप बता सकते हैं? कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट इज द सेल्स फोरकास्ट? Probably not. If you can, wonderful, but if you can't, please ask yourselves, ki, boss, I am running a business and I don't even know my forecast over the next 12 months. That means there is something wrong. You need to be able to predict the kind of business you are going to do. You need to have targets to chase and then accordingly try and achieve them. Two very important building blocks done. Third one is marketing. A lot of people confuse sales and marketing to be one. It is not. Questions for you. Are you your company's biggest brand? हमारे जो स्मॉल एंड मीडियम एंटरप्राइजेस या फैमिली बिजनेस होते हैं, वहां पे सबसे बड़ा ब्रांड हम ही होते हैं। हमारी कंपनी को लोग हमसे जानते हैं, whereas it should be other way around. You should be known by your company. But जब आप शुरू करते हैं तब यही होता है। But once you have matured, you have spent 5 years, 10 years, 20 years in your business, and still your company is known by you, that means there is something wrong. If you are your company's biggest brand, there is a challenge. If you feel that it is a challenge, tell me, have you done enough to build a brand? है ना, marketing सब लोग ना एक expenditure सोचते हैं, whereas marketing is actually an investment in your कंपनीज नंबर 1 असेट। इफ यू आस्क मी, आपके कंपनी का नंबर 1 असेट आपका रियल एस्टेट नहीं है, आपका मशीनरी नहीं है, आपका कंपनी का नंबर 1 असेट आपका ब्रांड है। और अगर ये आपका असेट है तो आपने उस असेट में इन्वेस्टमेंट कितना किया है? व्हाट हैव यू डन टू बिल्ड अ ब्रांड? प्लीज आस्क योरसेल्फ दिस क्वेश्चन। Important message, start focusing on building a brand, whether it means investment in marketing communication, whether it means investment in digital marketing. Digital is something that you all need to start focusing on. हमें समझ में नहीं आता है, ये बोल के उसको छोड़ा नहीं जा सकता। आपकी वेबसाइट है या नहीं, आपका सोशल मीडिया प्रेजेंस है या नहीं, क्या आपके वीडियोस सर्कुलेट हो रहे हैं नहीं, क्या आप व्हाट्सएप को यूज करें, बहुत सारे मीडियम्स हैं आज जिसको आप लेवरेज कर सकते हैं। और ये मत सोचे कि ये B2C के लिए है, ये B2B के लिए भी उतने ही रेलेवेंट है। लिंक्डइन जैसा प्लेटफॉर्म इज कंप्लीटली डेडिकेटेड टू B2B। यू आर गेटिंग व्हाट आई एम सेइंग? आपने एज अ ब्रांड ये कॉन्शियसली आपको एक डिसीजन लेना पड़ेगा कि मुझे ब्रांड बिल्ड करना है। एक बात याद रखिए, ब्रांड बिल्ड करना इज अ जर्नी। ये आप बोलोगे कि चलो मैंने डिजिटल में वेबसाइट बना दी, मैंने सोशल मीडिया में आदमी रख दिया, मैंने एजेंसी हायर कर दी, मेरे महीने का ₹1,00,000 का खर्चा चालू हो गया, 3 महीने हो गए, 3 लाख का रिजल्ट क्या है? बस कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। प्लीज डू नॉट ट्राई टू गेट ओवरनाइट रिजल्ट। ब्रांड बिल्डिंग इज अ मैराथन and it is a never ending journey. You will definitely get results, but you will need to be patient, and second, you will need to be disciplined. You should not stop after 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. Continuously over a period of time you will start seeing results. Operations, one of my favorite building blocks, and where I have seen a lot of business owners feel very confident on this, but when I ask them these questions, are you running your business or is your business running you? It's not a word play that I'm trying to do. This is a very serious question. So when you look at operations, when I ask business owners what you say, हम 12 घंटे काम करते हैं, मतलब बिजनेस में तो हम जान लगा रहे थे। जब 12 घंटे का हम उनको पूछते कि एक्चुअली आप क्या करते हो, एक्चुअली 12 घंटे आप खुद प्लान नहीं करते, आपका बिजनेस डिक्टेट करता है कि आपने उन 12 घंटों में क्या करना है। My question is, as a business owner, can you afford to let your business run you? Are you working in your business or on your business? क्या आप बिजनेस में काम कर रहे हैं या बिजनेस पे काम कर रहे हैं? अगर बिजनेस में काम कर रहे हैं तो बिजनेस में काम करने के लिए आप आदमी रख सकते हैं, लेकिन बिजनेस पे काम करने के लिए आप आदमी नहीं रख सकते। Working on your business is the sole responsibility of the business owner. You cannot typically hire a team for that. Are you doing that job? Going back to that strategy wala question, how am I doing my business? One very important aspect that I would like to share with you is, if you want to answer this question seriously, one more question I would like to ask, which is not there on the slide. Do you value your time? आपका वक्त कहाँ जाता है, क्या आप उसको वैल्यू करते हैं? तब आपको समझ में आएगा कि अगर मैं मेरे 12 घंटों में से 8 घंटे ऑपरेशनल काम कर रहा हूँ, कस्टमर के कॉल अटेंड कर रहा हूँ, ऑर्डर ले रहा हूँ, तो क्या वो मेरा काम, क्या मेरे टाइम का वैल्यू मुझे मिल रहा है? जो काम 50,000 रुपए सैलरी का आदमी कर सकता है वो मैंने करना चाहिए क्या? दैट इज द क्वेश्चन। आर यू बिजी और आर यू प्रोडक्टिव? मैं 10 घंटे काम करता हूं ये कहना छोड़ दीजिए। आप डेली मजदूर नहीं है कि आपने 10 घंटा काम किया तो इतना पैसा मिलने वाला है। यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू बी बिजी। इनफैक्ट आपका दिन खाली होना चाहिए अच्छे नए नए लोगों से मिलने के लिए, आपका दिन खाली होना चाहिए नए आइडियाज जनरेट करने के लिए। योर जॉब इज नॉट टू बी बिजी, योर जॉब इज टू बी प्रोडक्टिव। मैंने आज अपने बिजनेस में क्या वैल्यू एडिशन किया? चलो मैं आप बिजनेस ओनर से ये सवाल पूछता हूं, मुझे जवाब मत दीजिए, अपने आप को दीजिए। पिछले 6 महीनों में आपने अपने बिजनेस में क्या वैल्यू एडिशन किया जो केवल आप ही कर सकते थे? वो लिस्ट डाउन कीजिए, आपको मेरे ये सवाल का जवाब मिल जाएगा। अगर इस सवाल का जवाब है कि हाँ मैं बिजी हूं, आई एम वर्किंग इन माई बिजनेस and my business is running me, that means there is something wrong with your way you are doing your operations. And last hard hitting question, are you doing a job in your own business? सब लोगों को ना मिसकंसेप्शन है कि बिजनेस मतलब सिर्फ एक बिजनेस को ओन करना एक बिजनेस होता है। नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं। बिजनेस ओनरशिप से, आप बिजनेस ओनर है, आप एंटरप्रेन्योर है, ये डिफाइन आपके ओनरशिप स्टेटस से नहीं होता है, ये डिफाइन होता है कि आप बिजनेस में काम क्या कर रहे हैं। तो अगर आप ये ऑपरेशंस वाला काम कर रहे हैं तो आप अपने बिजनेस में ही जॉब कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आपने अपनी वक्त की कीमत लगाई नहीं हो। बिजनेस ओनर का काम तो आप कर ही नहीं रहे, तो आप एम्प्लॉय हैं। You are actually doing a job in your business because you are not putting a value on your time. This is the belief that we at Embark Business Coaching run with. A business is not a business until it runs without you. अगर आप ये आज सोच ले एज बिजनेस ओनर्स कि चलो कल से मैं मेरे बिजनेस में नहीं जाऊंगा, तो क्या होने वाला है? अगर आपका आंसर है कि कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, मेरा बिजनेस जैसे है वैसा चलेगा, उल्टा ग्रो भी होगा और मुझे वहां पर्सनली जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो फिर आपने बिजनेस बिल्ड किया है, तभी आप जाके अपने आप को बिजनेस ओनर कह सकते हैं। लेकिन ज्यादातर लोगों का जवाब होगा अगर मैं नहीं गया तो ये नहीं होगा, ये नहीं होगा, वो नहीं होगा, कलेक्शन कैसे होगा, कस्टमर से कौन बात करेगा, लोगों को कौन हैंडल करेगा। You are not running a business. You're doing a job in your own business. I'm sorry to say this, but this is extremely important for you to understand. And all this is linked with the 2 pillars that I'm going to talk about. One is operations, which I spoke about, and second is going to be team. Become less people dependent and more process and system driven. One of the aspects, अगर आपको अपना ऑपरेशन सुधारना है, अगर आपको ऑपरेशंस में से बाहर निकालना है, तो आपने क्लियर डिफाइन करना चाहिए कि मैं अपने आप पे भी डिपेंडेंट नहीं रहना चाहता। माय बिजनेस शुड नॉट इवन डिपेंड ऑन मी, इट शुड डिपेंड ऑन प्रोसेसेस। एंड दैट इज व्हेन यू नीड टू बिल्ड सिस्टम्स, यू नीड टू बिल्ड फ्रेमवर्क्स, यू नीड टू बिल्ड प्रोसेसेस। बिकॉज just by hiring a team it's not going to work. You need to have a framework, a set of processes कि आज ये आदमी है, कल ये आदमी निकल भी गया, दूसरा आएगा ना, तो मेरा प्रोसेस इतना स्ट्रांग है कि मेरा काम बंद नहीं होने वाला। और कोविड ने हमको ये सबक बिल्कुल सिखाना चाहिए कि पीपल डिपेंडेंट नहीं रहना है। कितने लोग मतलब माइग्रेंट वर्कर्स चले गए, लोगों का काम बंद हो गया। Of course, some of them were genuine problems, but a lot of those problems could actually have been avoided and can be corrected. आपने कितना ऑटोमेशन अपने बिजनेस में लाया है? Ask yourself. आज मैंने 100 आदमी रखे हैं, क्या ये 100 आदमी के जगह में सिर्फ 20 आदमी रख के ऑटोमेट किया जा सकता है? Can I run my business more efficiently? You have to be on the lookout for technology to empower your business. You are empowering your business. Technology is nothing but an empowerment tool. क्या आप वो empowered feel करते हो? That is the question. That is how you have to look at your operations. Finally, the way we look at operations at Embark are on 2 parameters. One is how efficient your operations is, and second and more important, how effective your operations is. तो आप बहुत बढ़िया ऑपरेशंस चलाते हैं, मेरा सब कुछ सही है, लेकिन ऑपरेशंस का 2 गोल होना चाहिए, तो रेवेन्यू बढ़ना चाहिए या कॉस्ट कम होना चाहिए। वो आपका इफेक्टिवनेस डिसाइड करेगा कि मेरा ऑपरेशंस इफेक्टिव है या नहीं। अगर मेरा ऑपरेशंस बहुत बढ़िया है, मैंने बेस्ट आदमी रखे हैं, मैंने बेस्ट मशीनरी रखी है, लेकिन एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मेरा प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी कुछ भी नहीं हो रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ दैट ऑपरेशन, दैट मींस यू हैव एन एफिशिएंट ऑपरेशन बट नॉट एन इफेक्टिव। तो ये चीज बहुत जरूरी है कि एफिशिएंसी भी बिल्ड करनी है एंड एट द सेम टाइम इफेक्टिवनेस भी देखना है। प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, none of these pillars that we are talking about can be seen in isolation. So operation has a very strong relation with profitability and finance, which of course we are going to address in the last part of how to look at all these verticals together. This is a point that I just thought I will share with you. Now coming to the point which is a pain in most business owners' lives, which is the team. Why is it a pain? Some questions for you. Again, are you working for your people or are your people working for you? ये क्वेश्चन मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि ऐसे बहुत बिजनेस ओनर्स हैं, जब मैं उनका बिजनेस मॉडल या उनका फाइनेंस देखता हूँ, मुझे समझ में आता है कि वो रेवेन्यू कस्टमर से लेते हैं, वो रेवेन्यू का वो सैलरी दे देते हैं और वो घर पे क्या ले जाते हैं उनको ही नहीं पता. So are you working for your people or are your people working for you? All the time you are worried about what your people will do, whether they, I mean, that is not what you're supposed to do. Your people are not supposed to work just for you, but for your business. Are you constantly dissatisfied with? मतलब किसी को भी पूछो एक ही चीज मिलती है, सर आदमी ना अच्छे मिलते नहीं, और अच्छे मिलते हैं तो टिकते नहीं. मैंने उसको 6 महीने रखा, ट्रेनिंग दिया, तैयार हुआ तो बाहर निकल गया, किसी ने 5000 सैलरी दादा. तो is this the question you're always plagued with? Do you measure return on investment per employee? Do you actually check कि मेरा ये मैंने आप normally क्या होता है जब हम P&L देखते हैं तो total manpower cost निकाल देते हैं कि चलो हमारा manpower cost इतना है, but per employee का जो cost है, again it is an investment in an asset. और अगर आप smart business owner हैं तो आप हर asset के return on investment को track करेंगे. स्टॉक्स में पैसे डालते हो तो ट्रैक करते हो, गोल्ड में पैसे डालते हो तो ट्रैक करते हो, मैनपावर में पैसे डालते हो तो क्यों ट्रैक नहीं करते? डू यू नो दैट देयर इज अ वे टू मेजर योर रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट? एंड इफ यू आर कॉन्स्टेंटली डिससैटिस्फाइड विद द वे योर पीपल वर्क, इट इज नॉट नेसेसरीली द मिस्टेक ऑफ योर पीपल. हमने इतने ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को देखा हुआ है जहां पे बिजनेस ओनर जब हमारे साथ जुड़े थे तब उन्होंने एक ही चीज बोली कि सर मेरे को टीम सेट कर दो, मेरी टीम से मैं बिल्कुल नाखुश हूं. एंड रियलाइजेशन ये हुआ कि टीम का कोई इशू ही नहीं था, उनका स्ट्रक्चर ठीक नहीं था, उनकी स्ट्रेटेजी ठीक नहीं थी, उनकी प्रोडक्ट्स ठीक नहीं थे. Which is why I said all these pillars are interrelated. You cannot look at them in isolation. Again, are you constantly having people leave you and go after you have trained them? Most important, are you stopping your business from growing because you feel you do not have the right team? ये सबसे दुखद बात होगी अगर आप अपने बिजनेस के ग्रोथ को इस वजह से रोक देते हैं कि मेरे पास टीम नहीं है. I think that actually constitutes a very, very sad state because that is absolutely not what you're supposed to do. Please understand, people management and talent management is a global problem. क्या इसको पूरी तरह से सॉल्व कभी भी होगा? बिल्कुल नहीं. लेकिन क्या इस वजह से हमें बिजनेस ग्रोथ रोक देना चाहिए? बिल्कुल नहीं. There are ways in which you can actually ensure that you hire the right people, you train them well enough, and then you engage them in order for them to work productively with you so that you get your return on investment. Please understand, as small and medium businesses, we are not like big corporates who can afford fat, who can afford to have एक एम्प्लॉय की जगह पे 5 एम्प्लॉय. हर एम्प्लॉय का रिटर्न हमें चेक करना है. एट द सेम टाइम टीम बिल्ड करनी है फ्यूचर के लिए. Are you building leaders for the future is something you need to check. Please understand, being an entrepreneur by default gives you responsibility of being a leader. आप रेडी हो या नहीं हो, अगर आप बिजनेस ओनर हो तो आपको लीडर बनना ही पड़ेगा. And true test of leadership is in times of crisis. We are just coming out of a crisis. How you respond to your team at that point of time is what is going to define you as a leader. Please understand what your team needs, what your business needs at different stages, and please respond accordingly. एक बात याद रखिए, बहुत लोग ये सोचते हैं कि अच्छा लीडर वो होता है जिनको अपना जो एक पॉपुलर लीडर होता है. Popularity is not necessarily the right barometer to test your leadership. You need to aspire to become an effective leader, an inspirational leader, not necessarily a popular leader. By popular I mean you don't need to do things just to make people happy. Do what is right for the business. क्योंकि अगर आप बिजनेस के हिसाब से राइट डिसीजंस लेंगे तो बिजनेस ग्रो होगा, और बिजनेस ग्रो होगा तो टीम का ग्रोथ होगा. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे एम्प्लॉय को वही चाहिए होता है. तो टीम को स्ट्रक्चर करने के लिए there is a method once again that can be deployed. It has to start with having the right organization structure, followed by identification of roles. आप अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को देखिए, क्या आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में राइट काइंड ऑफ रोल्स हैं जो आपके बिजनेस को चाहिए. रोल्स आइडेंटिफिकेशन के बाद do you have the right people to fit into those roles? And finally, if you have the people, do you have measurement mechanisms to review those people, to assess their performance and to drive them and engage them to stay with you? ये एक एम्प्लॉई या टैलेंट लाइफ साइकिल मैनेजमेंट का एक टेम्पलेट है जो हम बहुत सक्सेसफुली यूज करते हैं हमारे क्लाइंट्स के साथ. ये क्वेश्चंस और ये अप्रोच मैं आपके साथ आज शेयर कर रहा हूं. माय रिक्वेस्ट इज प्लीज ट्राई एंड सी इफ यू कैन इंप्लीमेंट दिस इन योर बिजनेस. फाइनली, finance. We have a very strategic view of finance, not necessarily a chartered accountant's view, but more of a business view. Simple, keep a tab on how the money is coming and how it is going out. It is all about managing this gap. Cash flow management, workflow management, and profitability are the three metrics that you as a business owner need to track as far as your business goes. One thing you need to remember, there is no dearth of capital today. And you are getting capital at the lowest possible rates that we have got in a decade. So please do not be averse to taking external funding to grow your business. Of course, disclaimer, you need to run through the finances and the business potential very, very clearly so that you are able to take the right decision. Finally, I want to stress on the point that ये जो 6 building blocks हमने देखे हैं, strategy, sales, brand, operations, team, and finance. None of these should be seen in isolation. कई बार ऐसा होता है कि ऐसे स्पेसिफिक एरियाज हमको लगता है कि हमारा प्रॉब्लम सेल्स है, हमको लगता है कि हमारा प्रॉब्लम हमारी टीम है, हमको लगता है कि हमारा प्रॉब्लम एक्चुअली फाइनेंस है. पैसा होगा तो सब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा. बट रियलिटी ये है, आई हैव कंडक्टेड मोर देन 200 डायग्नोस्टिक्स सेशंस फॉर माय बिजनेस ओनर्स एंड पोस्ट द डायग्नोस्टिक वो जो प्रॉब्लम लेके आए तो उससे 3 ज्यादा एरियाज में प्रॉब्लम निकल के आता है. द पॉइंट आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेक इज दिस. Problems that appear in a particular vertical may actually have their roots in another vertical. Let me give you an example. What may appear to be a problem in sales may actually be a people issue. तो आपको लग रहा है कि अरे मेरे सेल्स नहीं हो रहे, मेरे सेल्स नहीं हो रहे. You might realize कि आपके जो बंदे हैं फील्ड में वो सही नहीं है. Or maybe you have not, engaged with your team. Your team is very demotivated. और इस वजह से वो सेल में इंटरेस्टेड ही नहीं है. या आपका कॉम्पेंसेशन स्ट्रक्चर अपने सेल्स वाले को फिक्स सैलरी पे रखा हुआ है. मतलब एक सवाल आप सब लोगों से है, एक चेक कर लेना, अगर आपके टीम में सेल्स वाले और वो फिक्स सैलरी पे, तो दैट इज द बिगेस्ट मिस्टेक यू आर मेकिंग. अगर आप कॉम्पेंसेशन स्ट्रक्चर को फिक्स्ड और वेरिएबल कर देते तो ऑटोमेटिकली आप देखेंगे आपका सेल्स कैसे जंप होता है. एंड व्हाट मे सीम टू बी अ पीपल इशू माइट बी अ प्रोडक्ट इशू. कई बार आपको लगता है मेरा सेल्स वाला काम ही नहीं कर रहा है, इतना उसको सैलरी देते हैं लेकिन धंधा बढ़ता ही नहीं है. जब आप एक्चुअली इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करोगे और डिटेल प्रोब करोगे तब आपको रियलाइज होगा सेल्स वाले का इशू ही नहीं है, अपना प्रोडक्ट ही कंपटीशन के सामने टिक नहीं सका. So point is, growth in business cannot be achieved by focusing on any single vertical alone. You need to understand as a business owner, आप एक specialist नहीं है, आप एक generalist है. You have to work at all verticals in tandem with different levels of intensity. कभी आपको focus sales पे करना पड़ेगा, लेकिन you cannot let go of the other vertical, क्योंकि ये सारे जो problems है वो interrelated है. और कई बार सेल्स का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने के लिए आपको टीम का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. कई बार प्रोडक्ट टीम का प्रॉब्लम लगेगा लेकिन प्रोडक्ट का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना पड़ेगा. सो यू विल हैव टू लुक एट ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स in conjunction with each other to be able to resolve them. As a business owner, I once again repeat, you cannot afford to be a specialist. You need to be a generalist. अगर आप MBA करते हैं तो आपको MBA में एक स्पेशलाइजेशन देना होता है. अगर आप मार्केटिंग का स्पेशलाइजेशन करते हैं तो आप अपना करियर पूरा सिर्फ मार्केटिंग में चलाते हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली कोई MBA या कोई स्कूल ये नहीं पढ़ाता बिजनेस स्कूल कि एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर आपने एक एरिया में स्पेशलाइज करके नहीं चलेगा. मैंने बहुत ऐसे बिजनेस ओनर्स को देखा जो बोलते हैं हमको फाइनेंस समझ में ही नहीं आता है. ऐसा इम्पॉसिबल है. यू कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड फाइनेंस. यू हैव टू नो हाउ टू लुक एट हाउ योर मनी इज कमिंग इन एंड गोइंग आउट. यू कैन नॉट से दैट मैं सेल्स कर ही नहीं सकता. नहीं, आप सेल्स मत कीजिए, लेकिन सेल्स को समझना जरूरी है टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट. So you need to be a generalist, and only if you're a generalist, your goal as a business owner should be to build up the right team and get maximum out of that team. That's your primary role as a business owner. You need to have the knack of building a team of specialists. टीम स्पेशलिस्ट की बिल्ड कीजिए, आपको स्पेशलिस्ट होने की जरूरत नहीं. तो आज अगर आप ऑपरेशंस हेड का रोल निभा रहे हैं, इफ यू आर कंप्लीटली इन ऑपरेशंस, यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड यू आर नॉट फुलफिलिंग योर रोल बट योर टीम्स रोल. तो आप एक ऑपरेशंस वाला स्पेशलिस्ट हायर कीजिए so that they can actually do the job of the operations person. Similarly with all the other verticals. So build a team and build processes. These are the two things that you need to do, and look at all the verticals in tandem so that you are able to achieve business growth. The reason I'm sharing all this with you is because growth, there is ऐसा कोई मैजिक फॉर्मूला नहीं है कि कोई आज आके आपको 1 घंटा बात करके आपका ग्रोथ बढ़ा देगा. There is no magic formula. ये जो भी लोग बोलते हैं कि आपका रेवेन्यू 3 महीने में डबल हो जाएगा, हम उस चीज में बिल्कुल बिलीव नहीं करते. You will need to build your foundation blocks. Only then can growth actually happen. And before I conclude, just some final takeaway tips for you. Please start writing down and documenting your thoughts and ideas to be able to convert into actions. So pandemic में बहुत, क्योंकि घर पे बैठे थे लोग, तो बहुत से लोग बहुत सी चीजें डिस्कस करते थे, बहुत सी अच्छी चीजें भी होती थी. आज जब उनसे बात करते होते यार उसका क्या हुआ, नहीं वो तो छोड़ दिया अभी. डोंट डू दैट. प्लीज डॉक्यूमेंट, क्योंकि आज नहीं तो कल वो शायद आपके काम आ सकता है. Very important point. Please ask the right questions before you look for the right answers. So the right question may not be, do I need to change my business? No. Your right question has to be, what can I do for me as a business owner? What can I change to ensure my business grows? If you ask the right question, you will then seek the right answer. Focus is on what is in your control rather than worrying about what is not. अरे यार एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट तो गिरी जाने वाला है, ये एक पॉलिसी आने वाली है जो हमको कंप्लीटली डिस्ट्रॉय कर देगी. देखो वो तो अगर आया तो there is nothing that you and me can do anything about. But आपके कंट्रोल में जो चीजें हैं, अगर आप उस चीज को फियर कर रहे हैं, अनएंटिसिपेटेड चीज को, तो एटलीस्ट वो स्टेप्स लीजिए जो आपके कंट्रोल में है, so that you don't get impacted. That's what I was meaning when I was saying build your business immunity by doing what is in your control. Business immunity, आप हेल्थ में इम्यूनिटी तभी बिल्ड कर सकते हैं जब आप वो करो जो आपके कंट्रोल में. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट, व्हाट आई हैव ऑब्जर्व, जब भी बिजनेस के लोग मिलते हैं ना तो दे ओनली ग्रिप. ये ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, वो ठीक नहीं चल रहा है, ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ. एटलीस्ट मेक इट अ रूल दैट मे बी एटलीस्ट one day of the week you don't discuss problems, you only discuss opportunities with your friends and business associates. क्योंकि क्या होता है ये नेगेटिव माइंडसेट, और क्या होता है जब एक आदमी अपना प्रॉब्लम बताता है तो दूसरे वाले को भी वो लगता है यार मैं अकेला नहीं हूं जिसके पास प्रॉब्लम. उसको बहुत अच्छा महसूस होता है कि चलो 2 लोग दुखी हैं. वैसा मत कीजिए. प्लीज ट्राई एंड लुक एट पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट्स एंड डिस्कस पॉजिटिव थिंग्स. एंड फाइनली, nothing for Sowtex Connect or anything, please stop attending webinars like this if you are not going to take action. क्योंकि अगर आप आज जो हर थर्सडे को Sowtex इतना ब्रिलियंट इनिशिएटिव लेके अच्छे अच्छे लोगों को आपके सामने ले आता है, अगर आप सिर्फ सुन के चले जाएंगे तो उसका कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. My sincere request as a business owner to you is please take action. Not on everything, whatever you feel is relevant to you, but start taking action. Please understand, knowledge without implementation is useless. All right. So if you're not going to implement, आप कितने भी वेबिनार अटेंड कर लो, आपका बिजनेस वहां का वहां रहने वाला है. So it's time for action. Don't just make this another webinar that you have attended. Please implement and execute it what we spoke about. And if you want to know how we at Embark Business Coaching, हम आपके साथ क्या काम कर सकते हैं, so I think there is a link that is going to be circulated by the Sowtex team. Please feel free to reach out, and I really love to have a discussion further going with each one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Vishal. That was a wonderful session, and absolutely, I would say that it's a mind-opening session with a lot of information that you just shared in a small 30 within 60 minutes. Gagan, what do you have to say about it?
I was actually looking at all the aspects and the way Vishal collated them all together, and the importance, not even a single place you can not know about the thing, which was really, really powerful. And yes, that is the mentality we can get to. We get into this acceptance that we have, we are not good at this and we are not good at this. Rest of us, I can do better. That is not what a business owner can do. And that was very, very powerful, Vishal. I really loved the way you brought in all the various aspects of various departments and then weaved them all together into one philosophy for a business owner, which was really, really wonderful. Thank you so much, Vishal, for adding so much value with regards to the topic. And I think people have got much more than what they expected. I certainly feel that. And at this point, I would also like you all to please post your questions in a Q&A box. There are already certain questions which are there and we will be taking. I would also request, in case you're not able to find a Q&A box, this is okay, that you also post it on the chat box. I would also request my team, Sowtex, please post the link. There you go. You have got the link. In case any one of you are willing to connect with Vishal, just click the link and you will be able to fill a small form with which we will be able to connect you to Vishal right away. Okay. So let's get to hear some questions. And the first question is from 𝗦𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗶. If I see that the question says USA and Europe markets buyers directly links. Dear sir, can you let me know?
Okay. So Gagan, Kuldeep Singh had raised a question that he wanted to connect to the buyers and the buying houses from Europe and US. So Mr. Kuldeep, you need to share your business. What exactly is your line of business? What is that you are expertising in? आपका USP क्या है? What exactly is the product that you are manufacturing and exporting with the quantities? And so if you can share up your profile with Sowtex team, we can definitely get you connected to some of the potential buyers and buying agents in that particular category that you're working on. I hope that works. So let us know, reach out to the team Sowtex in this particular area.
Super. The next question is from Suneja Fashions, one of the top learners. Warm greetings from SFFL, Surat, manufacturing women's and fashion woven fabrics and garments. How do you measure ROI per employee?
Yeah, there are ways and means of measuring ROI per employee. I don't know if I would be able to, in detail, chalk out in this limited period of time, but it is very closely related. I'm sorry, the name of the gentleman is?
Okay, Mr. Suneja. Okay, Suneja.
Mr. Suneja, the answer to your question, it is very closely linked. You cannot measure the return per employee if you're not measuring your operations. So if you are tracking what you are doing in your operations and then link it to what that person is supposed to do, you have a very clear understanding. This is my investment in the employee. This is the return that I'm getting. So in sales, typically there is a broad understanding that a sales guy should minimum generate 10x of the salary that they are getting, depending upon the industry and the profitability. These are ways which is relatively simpler to do for sales employees, but similarly can be done and must be done for all employees. It is linked to how you measure your business operations, which can definitely translate into measuring ROI per employee.
Super. What?
Gagan, just to add to what exactly Mr. Vishal has just mentioned out, Mr. Suneja, you will be happy to know that the event which is coming up next, which is with Dr. Prabir Jana and Dr. Deepak, that event is just taking a much more deeper dive into how that ROI can be measured at the shop floor. On the production floor, basically what automation has been done, how the digitization of the information, right from the production areas to all the workers in your factory, even to the employees. How you can measure the team performance into this and how it can be matched digitally, what is the tools which are available, and how the automation is setting up in the textile ecosystem, especially at the production floor level. That is something which is going to be open up. Of course, when we're talking about the holistic side of the teams, that is something which is much more deeper analogy, which was also shared with us when we had a session with Gagan, we had a session with Shefali, right? In that particular session, there were a couple of these areas that was put on that she had shared it out as to how you can measure out the ROI for the employees. So there are, there is no straightforward way of doing this. Of course, there are certain tools and certain permutation combinations that you can adopt to it. And those can be some of the ways that you can approach it. I'm not the expert in this particular area, but I'm just trying to share my own knowledge that we've gained from some of the experts that have been on Sowtex Connect.
Super. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sonal, for answering and further on it. And Kuldeep actually just mentioned that I think he's being profiled already. He's a manufacturing plants of polybags related to garment industry. So that's
Mr. Kuldeep, you can just reach out to Team Sowtex, the category manager that you are working with, or the person who is assisting you from the Team Sowtex side. We will also take a note, and we will ask the person to get in touch with you, or likewise you can do, just be very specific in terms of what your ask is. Understanding that you are into polybag manufacturing, so you must be looking to connect with the garment exporters in this particular area. So that's a different segment altogether. And in case if there is some kind of certification that you have in this particular area, that will be an advantage for you as well as for us to connect you to the right set of buyers for that particular certification that you possess. So once you share that and your production facilities, your capabilities, definitely we will try and see what is the best we can connect you with on this area.
So, Vishal, I would like to ask you one question. This is in continuation to what you mentioned about the various departments and things which you need to know about the departments. At times, a lot of things related to sales, production are taken care because they are some of the things which you have to, without that, things will not move. There is one department which is finance, which actually gets ignored quite a bit. People lose control. They do not have a dashboard. They do not really are in control of what is their capital investment, what is the money they've already spent, what is the money which is in the market, or how are they getting return on that, or how they really project themselves. So I know it is a bigger topic to discuss, but would you briefly like to tell what are the at least first couple of or few things that they need to definitely get their hands on, they get to be hands on with? It'll be great if you can give a couple of more suggestions on that.
All right, Gagan. So as I mentioned even during the presentation, we look at finance from a very strategic and a business point of view rather than just a finance point of view, the way a chartered accountant would.
Yes.
So typically there are finance tools like a P&L account or a balance sheet that most business owners tend to look at, in which you'll have your costs, your sales, your assets and all of that. These are, in my opinion, output metrics. It's like a scorecard. You see a scoreboard on which you see score. That's what typical finance and chartered accountants look at. What we as a business coaching company do, or what I as a business coach typically advocate, is to focus more on the input metrics that are going to contribute to that financial scoreboard. As a business owner, there's no point if I'm going to know at the end of the year that I've done a loss.
Absolutely.
Which is why it is important to look at what is going to contribute to that profitability and look at those metrics in a timely manner, so that corrective action can be taken. So if I want to increase my sales, I need to ensure I'm looking at, do I have the right kind of prospects? Am I doing the enough amount of meetings? What is my conversion percentages? All those input metrics is what I would suggest that a business owner needs to track. And what you rightly said is they lack that tracking and the dashboards because they don't have the data. Still decision making through data is not yet prevalent in our businesses. Decision making is still very intuitive, which is where the problem lies.
Super. Thank you so much, Vishal, for answering the question. And yes, these are some of the things which Vishal and Embark Coaching excel in. And I would really, really request, in case any one of you have really found value and you think that this was thought-provoking for you. I see a message from Gopinath saying that this was really thought-provoking. I would highly request you all, in case you feel that there is more help you need, do connect with Vishal and the team. And yes, you will be able to find a lot of answers. Sonal, any questions, any more thoughts you have? You can unmute and talk. Yeah.
Vishal, I have one question relating to the brand buildingness. And as we all understand that most of the businesses, especially when it is coming from the Indian subcontinent, the brand buildingness or the brand value is something which has not been a key area when it comes to SMEs and MSMEs. And that is something where, the journey kind of gets stagnant because the business owner gets kind of, caught up with his daily set of activities where he's not able to strategically think of building a brand or taking things to the next level. What are the key ways that you would like to suggest? How should a business owner overcome this kind of challenge and look at strategically from the top to understand how we can build up a long-term momentum for his business?
Right. That's a very valid question, Sonal. And I think it boils down primarily, and I might sound repetitive, but it boils down, in my opinion, to mindset. Because most business owners that I have interacted with, like I mentioned once again in the presentation, view brand building and marketing as an expenditure, as a cost, not as an investment. Which is why I'm slightly against some of the financial ways of putting cost. Advertising is put as a cost. In my opinion, it should be put as an asset. It is an investment, isn't it? So brand is not viewed as an asset, which is why it is seen as a cost and not as an investment. That's point number one. Point number two, which I'm sure business owners will find more relevance to, and you would agree with. A lot of our Indian business owners, even in the B2B space, complain कि eventually बात तो price पे आनी है कि मैं 2 रुपए सस्ता दूंगा तो ही मुझे माल मिलने वाला है. See, they complain about that, saying कि boss, I am only being bought. My product is being bought because I am only if I provide the cheapest. ये होते हुए भी शायद उनको ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि if I am in a price war kind of a situation is a clear indication that I have not built a brand, that I have not demonstrated enough value to my client that he is willing to pay a premium. Apple smartphone is 3 times the price of any smartphone. It has no extraordinary features, but you and me happily pay that premium because there is value, and that value is nothing. It's not the product. Is it the product? No, it's the brand you are paying for. अब क्या हो गया, ये सारी बातें theoretical लगती हैं business owners को, until and unless they actually invest. और इसमें Gagan is a brand expert. I'm sure he will be able to throw even more light. इसमें return immediately नहीं दिखा सकते. तो somebody engages Gagan or somebody engages Embark and says चलो हमको brand build करना है, और 3 महीने बाद हमको पूछेगा सर कहाँ गया, कहाँ है brand, मेरा customer तो अभी भी price ही मांग रहा है, तो result नहीं मिल पाएगा. As I said, mindset and long-term investment. Look at it as a fixed deposit. You're making an SIP investment and forget about it for 10 years. And then you come back and see what has happened after 10 years.
True.
That's a very, very relevant thought and a very valid point that you've just put in, Vishal. Another point that I want to just make a subsequent to this is the fact that when it comes to putting all the 6 pillars that you just mentioned in the right perspective and putting them in a way that if you were to measure it from a cost-centered point of view or an investment-centered point of view, I would say, how would you suggest people to allocate their funds into an area where this much amount should be going for the sales, this much should be going for the operation, this much should be going with the team? I mean, just not from the operational side of the business, but right from strategizing as to where should the time and the investment should go of a business owner.
Absolutely valid question again, Sonal. And that's why the flow of my presentation, if you notice, it started with strategy. So where that money should go has to get decided when you finalize your strategy. So in what we do at Embark is we conduct first, before we begin any engagement, we conduct what we call a business diagnostic session. And in that business diagnostic session, we understand the as-is scenario of the business. At the same time, we try and visualize where the business needs to be in the next 3 to 5 years. Basis that we identify priorities. Okay, this organization, this brand, this company का सबसे पहला priority है कि इनको sales बढ़ानी है. कुछ ऐसी companies होती है जिनको sales का issue ही नहीं है, जिनकी capacity already 100% utilized है, उनको expansion कराना है, उनका investment asset building में होना चाहिए. कुछ है जो ये प्राइस वॉर में है, सर ये बहुत झंझट है, आगे नहीं बढ़ पा रहे, उनका इन्वेस्टमेंट ब्रांड बिल्डिंग में होना चाहिए. So there is no one answer I can give you for this, Sonal. It would be wrong of me to suggest कि ये sequence है या ये 20% strategy में डालो. That would be a very theoretical answer. This cannot be answered until and unless you understand the demand of that specific business.
Very well said, and that's it from me. And thank you so much for sharing your wonderful thoughts and insights with this. Anyone in the room? We still see a lot of people in the room with us. So anyone who wants to do it, Team Sowtex, if you can please take up the questions from Facebook chat also. If there is anything that you want to share it on the chat box here, we can take it up. Or in the meanwhile, if there is any other question coming up from the teams or with the members who are there in the room, would have to have any question coming in.
So, Sonal, in the meanwhile, I would like to quickly show quickly tell the people about the two events which we are coming up with. So this is, as I mentioned, one event which is coming up on this Sunday. This is an event we are doing a special event along with Bangladesh. This is our networking meet where we're going to be meeting top garment manufacturers from Bangladesh and a lot of the supply chain from India who will be visiting them. So definitely an event for the people, for the supply chain to attend. This is number one. And the number two event, which is happening next week, which Sonal also referred some time back, is actually iSmart, the solutions to digitizing sewing workforce. This is happening. We are proud that we have Dr. 𝗫𝗶𝘆 𝗧𝗸𝗲𝗏, who's a Shahi Chair, a professor at 𝗦𝗵𝗵𝗵 Delhi, and Dr. 𝗫𝗶𝘆 Assistant Professor at 𝗦𝗵𝗵𝗵 Delhi. We are proud that we'll be having these sessions in just this week and the coming week. Sonal, would you like to talk a bit more about these?
So this is a session particularly meant for all the fashion manufacturers in this area, whether it is garments, whether it is home textiles, anyone who is into the fashion manufacturing. And I'm sure that people do face a lot of challenge in terms of iteration at this point of time, especially post-COVID, when the timelines were not fixed up, a lot of tailors and the workforce had left out. What we are bringing on the table is the areas of how this has been automated and how the industry can look at from a future perspective, so that when you are employing a new tailor or a person in your production facility, how do you go and backtrack his credential and what are his deliverables from the past? It is more to do with how the workforce is going to be coming in the near future. This is like a very disruptive strategy that the NIF professors have been putting up. And this is some of the inputs that we want to bring it on in front of all the audience of Sowtex Connect. So stay tuned on this. In case if you want to have your managers, the production heads to come and look at it, please ask them to join this event. This is going to be very, very strategic. We want to have a very quick understanding of what these tools can bring in, and absolutely something which is worth to have a look, considering most of you are having a large production setups or even for the small production setups. So something worth having a look for.
Super. Thank you so much, Sonal, for this explanation. And yes, with this, I would like to thank you all one more time for attending the session today. And a big thank you to Vishal for conducting the session, adding very critical elements to a business owner's strategy. The 6 steps, which a lot of people would have thought that they've already know about it, but it was a totally different way, a totally different light, which you have presented it to us today, which was really wonderful. Thank you so much, Vishal, for doing that.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, Gagan. Thank you, Sonal, and thank you, Team Sowtex, once again. Thank you for all the participants as well.
All right. Okay. All right, then. Thank you so much, everyone. We are looking forward to seeing you, some of you definitely on this Sunday, and most of you next week on our session today. With this, I would like to say a wonderful goodbye to you all. Have a great week ahead, the rest of it, and enjoy your weekend starting Saturday and Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you. Thank you, Vishal.